Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're all enjoying the market and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook. There are links in the description below. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Yeah, for those of you not looking at the screen, it appears that we are here. It says Bitcoin enters euphoric phase. This is usually categorized by a number of things. A lot of our metrics have just hit certain numbers. And it looks like, so for those of you, now I need to preface this lightly. For those of you who are new here, haven't been here for a while, or don't remember the actual movements of the phases. The euphoric phase is typically considered to be the the best phase of the cryptocurrency cycle, which typically, at least now, lasts for around 4 years. There's 2 years of what they call a bear market, where prices don't really move. Prices begin to move back up in the third year. That's 2023. But it usually goes unnoticed by a large portion of cryptocurrency investors. That was when Bitcoin was around $16,000 and goes up to 30, 40, 50,000, but it's still considered not anything amazing, as it is still simply then below the previous all-time high. The fourth year is usually categorized by, prices moving back up, a little bit more optimism. It's when the halving actually takes place. And then the loop restarts again. As far as we know, it usually ends up being this way, that the year after the halving is also the euphoric type of phase, but it usually, at least now, as we've seen, tends to end at the end of the year with prices going down. That would be the end of 2025, as we've been going over for quite some time. Apparently, our metrics have now reached a certain level, and it shows that we are actually in the euphoric phase. I spoke about this, I think, more so over the course of this year than other years. The euphoric phase is usually categorized by now listen. Usually, you will wake up and you will see that you made a pretty good chunk of money. What also happens is that everyone else also wakes up and they see the exact same thing. People begin to literally wake up in the morning, see that they've made $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $15,000. It's not a joke. And what happens is that FOMO begins to kick in very quick for you and everyone else who's also not inside of, I was like just moving my arms as if you could see them. For you and also people not inside of the cryptocurrency space. For you, or usually people within crypto, it ends up being, I just made $8,000 from putting X amount of money in the market. I wish I had put more money into the market, and therefore most market participants begin to then throw more money into the market, kind of creating like a self-fulfilled prophecy of prices going up because everyone's doing it at the exact same time. People who aren't in the market typically also give us other metrics. For saying the beginning of the end is a little bit too dramatic, but usually we can kind of see when the market is going to peak. So is actually matched by multiple different things. Remember a couple of months ago, even like a month or two ago, we heard that Coinbase and Binance's apps on the App Store were beginning to rise in popularity. This happens every single cycle. The cryptocurrency websites get more traffic and the apps tend to have far more downloads. And we can usually mathematically tell on any given type of basis how many people are expected to enter the cryptocurrency space over the course of a year after prices are going up. It's never when prices are down, when people could or should be buying. It's only when prices go up. So the other half of the equation would be the people who realize that they could have been in the market, were in the market but left, or decide to enter the market because they see everyone else making money. That's what we were talking about before when we were discussing the idea of Thanksgiving and Christmas being very powerful catalysts within the cryptocurrency space on the year of the halving. Typically, on Thanksgiving and Christmas within the United States, people not only see their families, but there's always usually people who tend to brag, whether they mean to do so or not, is besides the actual topic. They'll sit there, they'll discuss with their family how much money they made from the market. This would typically be Bitcoin went from 16,000 to 100K, like that kind of thing. Other people at the table will want to, of course, join in as well. They begin to open up Coinbase accounts and Kraken accounts and Binance accounts. The price will go up. Usually the same exact thing will happen on Christmas as well. And this usually only fuels the prices a lot higher. When I was discussing how you can normally tell when the market cycle is kind of over, when the euphoric phase is no longer phasing, we start to hear, and you will hear and see news that Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance's, their apps, like on the phone, usually end up reaching number 3, 2, and 1, respectively, on the actual app stores. So of all the apps ever created, it usually ends up reaching a crescendo when we see that so many retail people have jumped into the market that these apps then become the most popular thing on the planet. There's also a bunch of other metrics. If you walk into a store, these aren't jokes either. If you walk into a store and an older woman happens to come up to you and she starts telling you about crypto, it's usually time to leave the market. That's also another big metric. If you're in a taxi, a cab, and someone randomly starts telling you about, like, this is, tried, tested, and true. Yeah, there we go. We've seen multiple like reports of things like this over the years. I saw this in 2017. It meant nothing to me. I just thought we were getting more people in the market. I didn't realize that the guy at the local shop down the street who was in his 70s, was like a red flag, because usually we see that these, like, it becomes unsustainable, insustainable. Why can't I speak today? That's usually kind of what it is. Anyway, as it stands right now, according to a major analyst, we have officially entered the euphoric phase for the bull run. And it's going to be a bit of a doozy, as it always is. Bitcoin has entered a euphoric phase with 99.3% of the UTXOs, the unspent transaction outputs. I'll explain that in 1 second. Currently in profit. This is according to the analyst called Ki-Young Zhu, who we always talk about. That is K-I, Young, and then J-U, who's the CEO of CryptoQuant. This phase is marked by rising prices and widespread optimism. And he says it could last anywhere from 3 to 12 months. We've historically seen it usually ends up ending around when it gets cold the year after the actual halving. Zhu shared his insights on Twitter, highlighting both the opportunities and risks associated with this critical stage of Bitcoin's market cycle. The easiest way to kind of understand UTXOs is basically wallets that are in profit. So as we've seen more and more people, okay, I'll try and give it to you like the easiest way. Like, it's not difficult, but it's a lot to talk about. Remember when we were talking about that the only people who were selling were basically retail investors, everyday normal people? It's literally a shift of these coins from what you would call, or what people call, weak hands into strong hands. That is to say, people who get bored with the market, are scared, are tired, prices aren't moving up as quick as they would like them to. These people sell off their coins. These coins don't randomly kind of just float around. They're accumulated by large companies and investors and people like you who've been listening to all this news for a very long time. And we can see mathematically that basically the short-term holders have kind of left the market. And the long-term holders, the people who have basically unspent transactions, they're holding on to their coins. They have no intention of getting rid of them. So currently, 99.3% of these transactions are currently in profit. The people who have just been gathering. That means that all these coins are out of the hands of the weakest people within the market. It has to do with consolidation. It has to do with wealth. And basically, these 99.3% or more have no intention of selling. And all the other coins that are on the market will basically fuel price rises higher and higher as more people get FOMO with that self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. You were also part of it as well. Don't think you're not. You buy more into the market as the prices go higher because you see that there's more profit to be made. There is more profit to be made because you and everyone else has been buying, raising prices. Everyone outside of the market who wanted to get in decides to jump into the market because they see that prices are going up higher. Prices end up going up higher because all of these people who have been waiting on the sidelines to re-enter the market have re-entered the market at the exact same time. That's the loop that kind of goes up over and over. So you've heard before and you've seen before, maybe if you've been here for a while in this market, you've heard you've seen the news. People wake up and I'm a Bitcoin millionaire. I made so much money in the market. It's because there will be days when you wake up and Bitcoin is up by 3, 4, 5%, which is a lot for one day. But certain altcoins will be up by like 32%. Remember what we saw the first week of November. Bitcoin's rising rapidly, and I think Dogecoin was up by like 77%. Like that kind of thing is going to become very commonplace. And it's where all the big money is made. Basically, if you were accumulating over the course of 2 years when prices collapsed, and a lot of people left the market, when prices go back up, that's how you make all the money. Here's the actual chart for the UTXOs right here. It says the euphoric phase in a Bitcoin market cycle is usually categorized by soaring prices, significant price increases as market sentiment becomes overwhelmingly bullish, and high profitability. Against all holders, see gains on their Bitcoin investments, as well as speculative behavior. This is something that I would like to discuss in length with you, but I know everyone would get extremely bored. Please try to pay attention to where you are putting your money over the course of this cycle, the next cycle, and the cycle after that, and basically into infinity, because a bunch of new coins will be launching, will be dropping, will be telling you to put your money into them, and it's usually very difficult or easy to lose focus with all of this stuff happening. And as always, do not put any money into the market that you cannot afford to lose. The analyst pointed out that such phases often coincide with parabolic price patterns, offering substantial returns, but also heightened volatility. Yes, we will have days also where prices go down by 6, 7, 8, 14% as well. At least we've had those before in the past. It is believed that as more and more rich people basically consolidate the market and move stuff in their direction, in their favor, we might not see as many dramatic drops over the course of the next forever, because usually drops are typically categorized by retail investors, typically, not always, typically categorized by smaller players in the market leaving kind of en masse. Prices go down by 7%. They leave, they flee because they don't understand exactly what's happening. They don't get that people are taking profit. They think something is wrong. They flood the market with their coins, and then we have to wait like 3 weeks for prices to go back up as those coins basically shift back into the hands of the whales. But whales are basically kind of in control right now. So we don't even know if we're going to have like incredible levels of volatilities. Unspent transaction outputs represent the amount of Bitcoin remaining after a transaction. When 99.3% of UTXOs are in profit, it signals widespread gains across the market, a hallmark of a euphoric phase. Similar UTXO unspent transaction profits levels have historically aligned with major bull runs. According to the analyst, the current phase began 2 weeks ago and could last between 3 to 12 months. Us basically slipping and sliding our way past, I believe, $87,000 was that was the moment. And we maintained over 90,000 for like a good amount of period. So that basically solidified that we are now in the euphoric phase of this entire thing. In past cycles, euphoric phases have led to exponential price growth followed by sharp corrections. The peak often marks the top of a parabolic trend before a market cool down. You'll definitely see over the course of I give it 6 months, you'll be able to gauge a little bit the kind of the movements that are happening within the market. But it's basically go time. We've gone over that multiple other times before. The market is in like the perfect position to basically do so. What we are, and I say this as lightly and softly as possible, what we're basically waiting on now is for Bitcoin to continue its ascent to $200,000, $300,000 and for altcoins to completely go insane. By the time we get to around a $350,000 Bitcoin, and that is to say a $5, $6, $7, $8 Cardano, XRP, a $9,000, $12,000 Ethereum, like those kinds of things. This is when you're going to start seeing a lot more timidity within the market from a lot of the bigger players and slowing down of gains. Usually it's around summertime when things tend to drift sideways, is how it's usually been. And then by the time we get to September, October, things historically pick up once again. And I mean like really pick up, but like scarily pick up. And that's when we kind of get to those, if you missed it, the $1 million Bitcoin price prediction. Because if there's not enough Bitcoin to go around, Bitcoin is quite illiquid right now. And that there's not any new Bitcoin entering the market. And basically all the whales who are holding, and those who want to buy continue to buy. So the supply is not there for people who actually want it. And this has been a very perfect setup by whales and rich people over the course of the last like few years. They've basically made it so that we're in this position where any major kind of buying that happens on the market, especially in mass, ends up having a gigantically positive effect on prices. Yeah, the article continues going on. It's just more of a loop around like what it means and what happens and how this could happen and when this is going to. That is all speculation. No one ever knows exactly how long it's going to happen, but we have seen before through the other cycles that usually around September, October, November is when the market would kind of go wee and then oh no. Kind of. You'll see. Yeah. That's the Bitcoin euphoric phase. We are here. Everyone who held on. Golf clap. Like actually like golf clap. Like it's been like a rough couple of years in this space. And yeah. Let's move on. I want to say I don't want to say tying directly into it, but tying relatively loosely into it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you maybe have noticed, maybe you've seen it on this channel or somewhere else. I don't think many people are talking about it. Litecoin is gaining in popularity quite quick. We just had news a day or two ago that Litecoin staking is also becoming a thing. For those of you who don't know, are unaware, or would like to know, the idea of staking Bitcoin is becoming a massive thing. It's becoming a massive hit as well. And we're getting this idea now of being able to stake Litecoin. The idea being is that Wrapped Litecoin was just launched, I think, with the Litecoin Foundation and some other company. And you'll basically be able to lock up your Litecoin into Ethereum and deal in DeFi and stake it and make all, profit and all this other kinds of things. But this year has lightly been categorized by Litecoin also rapidly gaining in popularity with whales. The everyday average person Litecoin is basically not even on their radar. And I think that something's happening with this. I told you around March when we started hearing rumors of Litecoin ETFs happening. I think this is also coinciding with this news as well because something big is happening. I do not know what. But Litecoin is a legacy coin that a lot of people like. It has a halving similar to Bitcoin. And I think its next two halvings are also meant to be quite dramatic, like similar to Bitcoin. But there basically will be so little Litecoin also coming out of the machine. So I think that whales are kind of preparing like now for the future. Litecoin has registered unusual activity on Binance. The account called Whale Alert on Twitter spotted the movement of 407,510 Litecoin, valued at approximately 35 million US dollars. The massive amount of Litecoin were moved from Binance to an unknown wallet. The thing about Litecoin is, and I say this from the perspective of people who would want to gather it up in mass, it has 4x the supply of Bitcoin, but the price is so low that we've had whale news for Litecoin a couple times this year. And I assume that whales are actively buying huge amounts of Litecoin to try and corner the market. Before, I think wasn't the previous all-time high 400? I assume it'll maybe go over 1,000 this cycle. Just a random speculative guess. But I think we're going to actually, whatever. Anyway, yeah. I saw this pop up on a couple of places. It was by no means popular news at all. The average 85% of crypto investors tend to either push heavily towards Bitcoin, or the other half tends to skew quite heavily towards like meme coins, new coins, shiny coins, brand new coins, this coin, Solana, that kind of thing. So yeah, Litecoin's going completely unnoticed, but, and I do repeat, we had also a lot of Cardano whale news and a lot of XRP whale news over this year as well. So they're definitely preparing for something. It's just a matter of what? Yeah. That's the Litecoin whale news. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Also in very popular news, I have my own opinions on this. I'll tell you what they are. I'm pretty sure I'm correct just based off of pure logic alone. This is also like a little cringy now because this was really popular news, like exceptionally popular news, because people are... It's kind of like the entire FTX thing. For those of you who forgot, when the FTX thing was happening, people were so preoccupied with what was happening with it as opposed to like actual market movements and, you know, the coins that they could have been accumulating. But it's like this weird fascination, like this. And if you allow me, this kind of like Schadenfreude, like the idea in German that it makes you happy when someone else is in pain. Like that's literally what the word means. This was very, very, very popular news. In July, Germany sold nearly 50,000 Bitcoin at around $53,000 per coin from seized assets to generate 2.8 billion US dollars. Fast forward to today, these holdings would now be worth between 4.5 and like 5 billion US dollars. That's an estimated $1.7 billion in missed profits if you missed the summertime. And I'll say it to you this way. In the summertime, a lot of different governments were moving their coins around. There were also multiple articles of the US moving around their Bitcoin. Yes, the US has 200,000 Bitcoin. That's why this entire like speculation of the US like buying more Bitcoin should have already been part of the narrative that the US already has 200,000 Bitcoin. A lot of governments began to shift their coins around. We do not know exactly why. However, Germany in particular made news when Germany was apparently selling off their coins or doing something with it or blah, 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 blah. What I think has been happening, for those of you who don't know, are unaware, or maybe you didn't put 2 and 5 together to get logic, is that these countries understand what's going on. This is always the misconception, and I don't know why, that people think that governments and institutions and companies and central banks don't know what Bitcoin is. They want to, they simply stay away from it. It's decentralized. We can't touch it. I think a lot of governments this year probably got in contact with a number of companies like BlackRock and were asking them like what to do with the Bitcoin that they have. I don't think that any government actually sold off their Bitcoin. And if they did, it was sold into a trust for them in some sort of way. It's kind of like when people don't really understand how like shell companies work, like a company within a company within a company within a company within a company, or that even how bankruptcy works. Like the idea that like you assume that someone's worth zero when they know, like you usually do it for like taxation reasons. I think a lot of governments over the course of this year, as we saw multiple wallet addresses moving Bitcoin around, were probably shuffling them. into different wallet addresses. It's similar to Vitalik Buterin this year. People were wondering like why he was selling off his ether and all this other stuff, and that, because some of his ether was going to like a crypto exchange wallet address, and I said none of you can put any of that together. He wants to keep his ether. He's not liquidating it as the bull run is beginning. He knows someone at a crypto exchange. He's sending it to the exchange address so he can then withdraw his money to a brand new address that no one knows about, because everyone scrutinizes everything that everyone does in this space. People get mad at Vitalik Buterin all the time for moving around his own money. What's a way of getting around that? Send it to a crypto exchange and then withdraw it to a brand new address that the public doesn't know about. How do you do that as a country? These countries understand. You think that they're blissfully unaware that Bitcoin's going to $1 million per coin? You get an agency to help you. What do? The public knows how much money we have, how many coins we have. Okay, we'll set you up in this way. Send your coins here and do this. We're going to create 15 new wallet addresses for you. And over the course of a 9-month period, we will slowly put the coins into those wallet addresses so people don't see that the equivalent went to 9 new addresses on the exact same day. It's weird how people don't know. These articles popped up everywhere. There were, at least a dozen articles discussing Germany's mistake. Germany could have done this. Germany sold all of this. Germany could have made so much more money. If only Germany, and it's like, if I think more people understood how the world actually worked, I think none of this would even be a topic of discussion. You know, the German government, or Germany, is the strongest economy in the European Union. They didn't need $3 billion to like keep them afloat. That money is somewhere else. They still have all that Bitcoin. A lot of people were commenting on this in the last week or so, saying what a terrible mistake they made. And the mistake is that you don't know what's actually happening. If we've had whatever, it's so like disheartening is the only word that people don't understand. Like people don't think a step further. And this isn't even like tinfoil hat or speculation. It's how it works. You know, all these people know each other, right? You know, like they're not just like sitting on their own, like twiddling their thumbs, being like, I wish I had more rich friends. No, the people who run these governments, who run these economies, like they literally hang out with the people from the Bank of International Settlements. They hang out with central bankers. They know Larry Fink. They know Jamie Dimon. Really, they talk to these people, like they message them all the time. They figure out what's going on. Remember how we heard before multiple times, there are a few countries, their sovereign fund has been buying Grayscale's trust from years ago, and also Bitcoin ETFs. And people were like, well, how's that possible? And it's like, do you think they don't understand what's happening? Why do you think there were like all these government surveys as to if Bitcoin in the future might negatively affect fiat? You think that wasn't shared with any of these countries? The point is they don't want people to know what's going on because people panic. If Germany has 50,000 Bitcoin and they moved some of it this summer, do you remember like the prices were dropping because people were scared that Germany was selling all these coins? Now imagine Bitcoin goes to $38 million in the future and is like an actual like hedge, like literal digital gold, and they move 25,000 Bitcoin to a new wallet address. People would panic. Currencies would collapse. Bitcoin would fall. Anyway, yeah, so a lot of people think they sold these coins. They didn't sell any of these coins. There was no reason for them to actually do so. So, yeah, very, very popular news. It's always this really weird, I told you that before. It keeps happening. Whenever there's news about like layoffs or someone lost money, it ends up being like super popular. I don't know if it's because people have terrible lives and they want to see someone else doing worse. I can't really I really can't figure out what it is, but yeah. So even if they did, it's none of your business. You weren't the recipient of $3 billion. So why would it actually matter to you? Yeah. We also know that other governments are actively mining and buying tons of Bitcoin. Have you ever seen a map of Bitcoin mining around the world? If you haven't, here's a spoiler. Do you know who's one of the largest Bitcoin miners in Germany? I mean, in Europe? It's Germany. I spoiled it. Sorry. Anywho, I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope you've all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope you understand that this market is going to change lives, and a lot of people keep sitting on the sidelines. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.